brothers and my sisters is often misunderstood as weakness, but we know it as moral strength in action. One of its highest expressions of justice and grace. And through clemency, we witness redemption made tangible, as my brother Edmund said, for more than 450 individuals. The record in our state. And each decision restored lives, renewed families, and strengthened communities across New Jersey. This is not theoretical, that was real. And serving as the chair of the Clemency Advisory Board has been one of the greatest honors of my life. An opportunity rooted in years of advocacy alongside, yes, Jersey City together, and New Jersey together. It was through this work of standing with everyday people, organizing for justice, and confronting real conditions on the ground, that this issue arose to the forefront and placed us on the radar for meaningful criminal justice reform, including clemency. So at the height of COVID-19, when our prisons faced one of the highest mortality rates in the nation, we acted. What began as urgent reports from families led to organized action, direct engagement with state leadership, and ultimately, life-saving reforms, including expanded testing and accountability. Those moments helped shape a broader movement for justice and clemency. This work carried a sacred responsibility to hold accountability and hope, justice and mercy, and to ask the defining question, what does true redemption look like? Tonight is a night of both gratitude and transition. Our board service concluded on January 20, 2026, but as Edmund stated, the work and the need remains. So with humility and hope I say this, it is right to believe that the work will continue. It is right to encourage Governor Mikey Sherrill to reestablish the Clemency Advisory Board, because this is not optional, it is essential. It is essential. And what will help make this possible is this: those of you who have stood up today that have received mercy through pardons and commutations, what will help is that you continue to lead us by example. And that you continue to grow and show others that mercy extended to you has been an investment in the lives of others. Yes. And so your lives become the evidence that redemption is real, that transformation is sustainable, and that mercy produces lasting good. And so we have seen what is possible: a justice system that upholds dignity, recognizes transformation, and affirms that people are more than their worst moment. For me, this has been a profound act of public service. And although there was no financial reward, the return has been immeasurable. Lives restored, families reunited, and hope renewed. Thank you, everybody, for this honor. Thank you for it. So we want to tackle the initiative of employer payroll tax. And for that, I want to ask my colleague, Dr. Jill Josephson, to come up.
Jersey City together, New Jersey together. It is good to be together. Tonight we are here talking about the People's Blueprint for the future of Jersey City. Education is key to that blueprint. Every child in Jersey City is our child. Every child is our child. And every child in Jersey City deserves the best education that we can provide. To do this, we must fund our schools, and I think you have some signs. Fund our schools. When the state of New Jersey began reducing state aid to our schools, Jersey City Together took action. We advocated to fund our schools with two sources of local investments in our children. We advocated for increasing the local school tax levy, and we supported the newly available employer payroll tax. Now you have a chart up here, if you can see it. You see some orange, you see some green, you see some blue. The green is the state aid disappearing. The And you all know about that. The orange is the local tax levy increasing, which we advocated for because otherwise we wouldn't have public schools. Now, we know that increased local school tax levy has put pressure on families and homeowners. And so tonight we want to talk about that blue line there. We want to talk about how local businesses and corporations can do more to do their part to fund our schools. You're not aware of it, it's a 1% tax on employers. It's based on the wages of employees who do not live in Jersey City. And the money goes directly to our schools. This is a tax on businesses and corporations. It is not a tax on you, it is a tax on businesses and corporations. The employer payroll tax is a crucial support for our schools. Now, when you look at that chart, you see the state aid disappearing in that green, you see the orange getting bigger, and you see the blue pretty flat, right? The one exception is that if you look at fiscal year 2025, there was a slight increase in the employer payroll tax, and that is because then Councilman Solomon pushed for more direct outreach that helped to enforce the tax, resulting in collections of $111 million that year. That's but some of it was new employers being taxed. Now, fiscal year 26 is back down to about 84 million. We think Jersey City has been growing, and we think the employer payroll tax can grow. So this effort that Councilman Solomon made was important, but it also showed that the city needed better tools to help identify employers and to enforce the tax. So we worked with our state legislators, and we thank especially Senator Mukherjee and Senator McKnight, and to support legislation to help the city better identify employers and enforce the tax, and that passed in January of this year. So now we are asking Mayor Solomon to use these tools to proactively enforce the employer payroll tax, to stand together with our children, and to fund our schools. More about this issue.
Right, thank you, sis. Fund our schools, fund our schools. So like she said, my name is Chris Capers. I'm here with my members. We have 25,000 members, 400 live in Jersey City, and there's about 50 of them with us. So start. Nice to see you again, Mayor Solomon. Right. Thank you for your time. My name is Chris Capers. I'm a lifelong resident of Jersey City, a volunteer coach, and a union construction worker with the Labor's Local 3. I help build the Jersey City skyline, but increasingly the jobs that were once good, union careers are being turned into exploitative employment. In the last 3 years, the Department of Labor has issued 15 stop work orders in Jersey City for things like stealing wages and misclassifying workers. That's right. While those contractors are ripping off workers, they're not just undermining my career, they're ripping off my son's education. Right. And stealing from our schools by not paying their fair share. Mr. Mayor, my question to you is, will you proactively enforce the employer payroll tax, including proactively registering employers who are subject to the tax? And when low-roll employers, like those exploiting construction workers, violate the rules, will you enforce fines and fees for failure to pay?
Yes.
already mentioned, we met with the mayor and we discussed our questions. And so, Mr. Mayor, we would like to go ahead and ask you 2 questions now, and then we'll give you a chance to 3 minutes to discuss the issue. So the first question, you can see up on the screen, Mayor, will you use all of the administrative tools that the city has to proactively and vigorously enforce the employer payroll tax to support our public schools?
Yes.
Second question, Mr. Mayor, will your administration provide regular public reporting of employer payroll tax collections, administrative expenditures, trust fund balances, and amounts transferred to the Jersey City Public Schools?
Yes. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. So Jersey City Together, this is an incredible showing because it shows how much each and every person in this room cares and is committed to our city and its future. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Bishop Rodriguez. Thank you, Reverend Perry. Thank you, Jill. And thank you to Christ the King for hosting us as well. So I want to be as substantive as possible in my time. Funding the payroll taxes couldn't be more important, and that's why those were very easy yes answers for me. Corporations who make billions of dollars should pay their fair share to fund our schools. Simple as. Now, too often, their money is what allows them to get out of doing the basics, the bare minimum. We are committed to ensuring that does not happen again. So, as Jill laid out, a new bill was passed in Trenton. Thank you to our senators and assembly people for passing it. That gives us finally real tools and power. Before that, it was really a system of trust. Right? We had no way of knowing what each business owed. We had no way of auditing those businesses. We simply had to trust they were paying what they owed. Now we have the data. So I'm committed to using all of the tools that I was given to vigorously enforce the payroll tax. The first of those tools is making sure the state gives us the data that we need. My team has already met with the State Department of Treasury and will continue to meet with them until we get the data. The second thing is we now have our own office in City Hall that will go after these bad actors. We're going to fund that office, they're going to have real auditors, and they're going to go after any corporation that hasn't paid what they owe. And to Chris's question, they're going to penalize any corporation that does not pay what they owe. And then the last tool is we now set a new law and a new standard that any developer or contractor cannot get their certificate of occupancy, so they can't open their building unless they can demonstrate that they've paid what they owe to the payroll tax. Not just enforcing that, but expanding that to the subcontractors, right? Making sure that they aren't using loopholes to avoid doing what they need to do, because as you heard from Chris's testimony, a lot of folks are not following the rules and they're mistreating the employees that they're putting out there, and we're going to make sure that they can't use the payroll tax loopholes to avoid doing that. And all this is personal for me. I think many of you know, obviously all 3 of my daughters attend Jersey City Public Schools. I see the value of Jersey City Together and the public school district provided by, say, taking the lead out of the drinking water fountain so that my kids now can use the fountains at their school. To make sure that the payroll tax is funded, so I'm fully committed to doing that. Oh, and then the transparency piece, I have 10 seconds. So the city did not share transparency data with public schools. It made no sense. We have committed to sharing the data monthly, how much we collected and transferring it over to the public schools each and every month so they have clear, consistent knowledge of when the payroll tax is coming. So thank you.
Next, we're going to be talking about affordable housing. To do that, I want to introduce my colleague, Reverend John Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. Thank you for being here. Who here in this room is interested in affordable, safe housing in Jersey City? Sadly, each year we lose more and more affordable housing due to predatory landlords running off rent-controlled tenants. Jersey City Together has been fighting for tenants' rights and working to get landlords to comply with laws designed to protect all people. In 2017, Jersey City Together went door to door asking renters about potential problems. We found over 1,000 violations in in one neighborhood alone, largely committed by a single property management LLC. We brought it to the attention of the mayor and city council, and as a result, there was a restructure of the tenant landlord office, hiring of a new prosecutor, and 2 of the worst offending property management companies left town. Then along came the pandemic and individual building inspections became backlogged. And now 2 of those property management LLCs are back, only with different names. Yes, they are back, along with a slew of new bad actors from New York City, because New York has recently tightened their own rent control laws. Consequently, there are hundreds of cases where landlords are neglecting repairs, harassing tenants, and illegally evicting rent control tenants in order to replace them with higher market rate rentals. We are losing our existing affordable housing, and some bad acting landlords are getting away with downright despicable treatment of tenants. While inspections for code violations have now resumed and tickets have been issued, problems still remain. There is little coordinated efforts between the different entities and departments to ensure that work is done and repairs are made, and landlords continue to take advantage of this as they conduct work, claim improvements, increase rents, and submit vacancy capital improvement applications after the fact, often claiming inflated costs that result in higher rates. This has a personal impact on so many of our residents, and here one of the stories is Mrs. Gladys Ortiz.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
My name is Gladys Ortiz, and I'm a lone resident of 9 Gateway Avenue. In 2017, I stood with Jersey City together to hold Lano accountable for refusing to pay basic repairs. Using neglect as a way, using neglect as a way to push tenants out. In 2022, I was offered $5,000 to leave my home with the promise that I would return to a newly fixed apartment. I refused. I knew it was just another way to push me out. They did our homes, and I was definitely a before, but we are not for sale. In October 25, I was getting ready for the day. I walked out of my bathroom, closed the door, and seconds later, I heard a loud explosion. My ceiling had collapsed. I had just stepped out in time. My son and I looked at each other, knowing how much worse it could have been. I was shaking, I was very angry, and I'm still angry. Because I had already sent messages warning about that city, and I was alone. No one has to live like this. We need tenants protection to actually keep us safe in our homes. We all deserve to live in apartments that are secure, well-maintained, and free from neglect and intimidation. Too many landlords are using these tactics to push people out so they can raise rent and bring higher paying tenants. But what about us? What about the people who build this city? What about the bus drivers, the teachers, the janitors, the property guys? We are hard-working people. We deserve safe, decent, and affordable housing. If this wasn't for rent control, my family and me will be homeless. Right now, it feels like this city does not care about poor and working class people. Only opportunities for expensive buildings. But we are not disposable. We are not invisible, and we are not going anywhere. Everybody say
know, we know that affordable housing is a key issue for you, and so we have 2 questions for you tonight. Mayor, right now, some landlords in Jersey City treat code violations as a minor cost of doing business while tenants live in unsafe conditions. For the sake of families in this room, will you commit today to use every measure and tool in your power to maximize enforcement and penalties of code violations until they are resolved? Yes or no?
Yes.
Question number 2, Mayor, will you commit to use your power to require the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations to mandate that any application for rent increase via capital improvements be filed before the work or rent increase is done? Will you also require that no increase be permitted if there are outstanding violations? Yes or no?
Yes. Thank you again, and Ms. Ortiz, thank you for sharing that story. And I think we all saw the photos there, and I think the first emotion is anger, right? How could somebody think that they're gonna make money off of mistreating people in the city, think that they're gonna be able to buy a second home by pushing somebody out and charging the rent more, right? That is a level of immorality that we have to drive out of the city, that doesn't belong in the city, and we have to use every tool in our toolbox to do it. And so again, I always want to be substantive and give you the facts of what we can do. So first thing is absolutely, we will commit to using every power in our toolbox to make sure that that's just not the cost of doing business, that if you engage in that type of actions, we run you out of the city. So how do you do that? You have to make sure that people are talking to each other, and something that you said, Reverend. So all of our agencies, so we have our municipal prosecutor's office, we have our landlord tenant office, that's part of our housing preservation office, we have our municipal courts. All of them have to be talking to each other. You have to break through these LLCs that they hide behind to avoid paying. What we call trials and absentia, so you actually don't get to hide behind that. Will actually bring you to trial even if you refuse to show up to court. We changed the laws, thankfully, with the city council last year to now say you don't just get fined one time, you get fined per unit, per day, per violation. That's not a one fine, that's each day a fine until you fix it, right? And that's the type of tools and power, and then all that we need to track. So we're gonna now, if you're not measuring it, it's not gonna happen. So now we're gonna track, okay, are we following these summonses? What's happening to them in court, and making sure that they're all advancing. And then on our rent control, what a lot of the landlords do is they can make money by pushing somebody out. They do what's called a vacancy improvement. So they come in, they put in a new kitchen, they put in a new bathroom, and then they jack up the rent. What they're doing here is they're not even getting a pre-approval to do it. So they do all the work and they come in and they say, well, it cost me $200,000, let me raise the rent through the roof. And they might have one receipt. And this is where you get the toilet that costs them $20,000 to purchase. So what we are committed to doing, and we have a number of our council people, a couple of them just came in as well, we're going to partner with our city council and pass an ordinance that says you have to get pre-approval before you can do that. You're not allowed to just give us the bill and the process. Part of all that is to make sure that people can stay in the city that they built. That's exactly the words that Ms. Ortiz used. I help make this city a great city. I deserve to be able to stay in it, and you do. And we're going to use every tool in our toolbox to keep you and thousands of other residents in Jersey safe.
So not only do we need to preserve the existing affordable housing, we also need to create more affordable housing.
Thank you, Reverend Brown. And so, folks, we want to move on to our next issue, Bayfront, affordable housing. So, if you've never seen the film Aaron Brockovich, I want to encourage you to consider it. Not for entertainment, but for perspective. It reveals how entire communities can be harmed and systems fail, and how ordinary people like you and I can rise to pursue justice and restoration. Today, this meeting's not about moving, it's about a city, our city. See, for decades, the Bayfront and Canal Crossings area of Jersey City were sites of heavy industrial activity. Companies like Honeywell and PPG Industries left behind toxic petroleum contamination, one of the most dangerous environmental legacies in our region. Our families live there, children play there, lives are impacted there, and many suffer, with some losing their lives to cancer. This is not theory, folks, this is our reality. And now you're going to hear from Dr. Willard Ashley, a leader from the Interfaith Community Organization, also known as ICO, who stood in the gap over 40 years ago and helped lead the fight that forced a massive cleanup of toxic waste in our city.
It's time for this old soul to pass the baton to Jersey City Together, but there's some unfinished business. Jersey City Together had a predecessor, an organization called ICO, the Interfaith Community Organization, which I co-chaired for several years. ICO started 40 years ago. We came together as religious institutions across Jersey City. We won public fights that no one thought possible. One of those was the chromium fight. Fathers Jeff Curtis and Ken Latoya said, let's build affordable housing. How hard could it be? Well, we discovered in New Jersey that it's very hard. Politics aside, we had another problem. We found hundreds of acres of land in Jersey City were toxic. They were contaminated with toxic waste, particularly waste from the city's two former chromium plants. You may remember the Green Mountains of Jersey City, huge mounds of chromium waste that piled up around those plants. Kids played on those mountains and slid and slided down them. They didn't know that the waste contained one of the worst known cancer-causing chemicals, hexavalent chromium. After the plants closed those mountains, more than 3 million tons of waste was spread across construction sites in the city. It was known as clean fill, and an added bonus, the construction companies noticed that it killed rats, weeds, and roaches. Hexavalent chromium was being detected in the urine of workers who worked on these sites and of residents, including children who lived nearby. So ICO did what the IF groups do, in-depth research, formulating proposals to protect the public health, taking action to push key players to act. We met with the governors and the DEP commissioners. The polluters removed some of the chromium waste from chosen sites to build luxury high-rises. But two Fortune 500 companies drew a line at the old PPG site on Garfield Avenue and the Honeywell site on Route 440. Each contained upwards of 1 million tons of chromium waste. The companies claimed that cleaning up these sites was unnecessary and would lead to bankruptcy. The politicians disappeared on us, so ICO did what IAF groups hate to do. We hired attorneys, developed a legal strategy, and sued both companies in federal court. ICO versus Honeywell, a landmark environmental case. The judge ordered the complete removal of the waste. PPG ultimately settled with ICO rather than going to court. The two 100-acre sites are now either clean or nearly clean. We have enormous new opportunities for the people of Jersey City. One of those, the old Honeywell site, is what we now call Bayfront. This is where Jersey City Together takes over. Please fight to ensure the land affords our children, grandchildren, neighbors, young teachers, rookie police officers, new firefighters, and other hard-working people the ability to live in Jersey City. Hold the city to a commitment to keep at least 1/3 of Bayfront affordable
to members of the former ICO. We stand here today taking the baton from their hands. See, that's a powerful story. And tonight, folks, as we reflect, we've got the opposite. Men, women, and children suffered. Some lost their lives due to this COVID contamination, connected to Honeywell and others. And yet, in the face of the pain, leaders like you and organizations like ICO and Jersey City Together have organized faithfully for over 40 years to fight for cleanup, accountability, and justice. And because of your persistence, the site was remediated, the land was reclaimed, and a vision to secure 35% affordable housing. Homes for approximately 3,000 families. So let me say clearly, Bayfront, Mr. Mayor, the City Council, Bayfront is sacred land. You got to get up here.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Bayfront is sacred land. City Council, public officials that are here, Bayfront, to all of us, it's sacred land. You see, every time I get the bad news of one of our parishioners diagnosed with cancer, I think about a potential connection to Honeywell and PPG. And while not every case can be medically traced with certainty, the weight of what our communities have endured is undeniable. Bayfront is a legacy piece for us. It is a long-term project. It is our birthright. So we cannot think about short-term solutions when we look at Bayfront. We cannot afford to lose any of those 3,000 affordable units. This is, folks, the people's blueprint. Our people's blueprint. Everybody say it's the people's blueprint. So the land carries the memory of suffering, but also the promise of restoration. So now we face a new challenge, folks. There's a misconception that affordable housing means cheaper to build. That is not true. The cost to build remains high. What changes is the rent, which requires subsidy, rents, and other creative means of financing. These are some approximate ranges on the street to build units. New York City, $600,000 to $8,000. That's a range. Hoboken, $500,000 to $700,000. Jersey City, approximately $400,000 to $600,000. And Bayfront specifically, close to $600,000 per unit. Yet, the state of New Jersey currently has a cap of $500,000 per unit for affordable housing. That gap makes projects like Bayfront financially unworkable at the scale we work for. And here's the reality, folks. Here is the reality. One decision, one call, in Jesus. Governor Mike Sherrill has the authority to waive or adjust the cap. She can waive the cap. So listen to this. Without that action, the vision of Bayfront risks being reduced, delayed, or compromised. Now, listen to this. We invited her office, we invited her to this action today. Her office knows this action was happening tonight. By coincidence, so I believe, that this morning she signed an executive order to address New Jersey's affordable housing crisis. See, her executive order is going to require that state agencies collaborate on a comprehensive plan by the end of September. The order creates a housing governing council led by Chief Operating Officer Kelly Doucette, directs agencies to identify unused state-owned land for potential housing development, calls for removing regulatory barriers and proposing new policies to speed up construction, and requires agencies to submit property inventories within 60 days and prevents land sales without approval. So it'll take their office 45 days to form the team. She's given the team 150 days, that's about 6 months. But here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that our message Mr. Mayor, city council, elected officials, and people of Jersey City together that are here in New Jersey together, our message to the governor is this. She doesn't have to wait 6 months. She can start right now by waiting to have that paper. You don't have to wait. This is an emergency response. This is a 9/11 moment, and what Jersey City together and New Jersey together happened to propose during the meeting at Benai Bishop in April 2025. So we're pleased with the executive order, but we want action now. Now, Mr. Mayor, we also recognize the city is under pressure. We know that you've inherited a significant budget shortfall. We understand the weight of that responsibility. But pressure creates temptation. The temptation to cut corners, the temptation to reduce affordability commitments, the temptation to sell portions of Bayfront for short-term relief. We want to be clear. We cannot, and we will not settle for short-term gain. Bayfront is sacred ground. It is a long-term process. It is our purpose. New Jersey has one of America's biggest housing shortages, and no one is paying attention. New Jersey inventory levels are down 63% from pre-pandemic norms and refuse to recover. Today, there are about 15,000 listings on the market in New Jersey, compared to nearly 40,000 prior to the pandemic. Prices still moving by as much as double digits in certain areas, like Princeton, Trenton, New York City suburbs. So we gotta think about generational impact, and we've gotta think about affordability, because this is the people's blueprint. Hey, Mary, you can stand up, please. But this is the question for you, Mayor. Will you commit to making Bayfront your administration's #1 development priority and provide a clear timeline for accelerating its progress?
Yes.
So the second question is, Mr. Mayor, will you directly ask the governor for a waiver on the cap on affordable housing subsidies to ensure Bayfront and similar projects move forward at the scale our community needs?
Yes.
So, Mayor Solomon, we want to thank you for agreeing to making Bayfront your #1 development priority. And we want to be crystal clear. What that means for us is that you will use all of Jersey City's regulatory, economic, and political tools to move Bayfront forward through construction into completion at the 35% affordable level the city already agreed to, correct?
Yes.
If yes, Mr. Mayor, you're not alone. Jersey City together is with you. New Jersey together is with you. We will stand shoulder to shoulder with you and fight to build 3,000 units of affordable housing in May, and we're working for together. And second, we understand the pressure. You are under pressure. We are under pressure. Our city is under enormous budgetary pressures. $250 million we got in our city's budgets. There are going to be temptations to sacrifice the long-term for short-term gain and make Bayfront your #1 priority. Development priority means you can't give in to temptation to sacrifice the long-term development of affordable housing for short-term gain. Again, we'll stand with you firm and not give in to the temptation to use this sacred ground to fill budget holes. Do we understand that clearly?
Yes.
All right, we'll stand with you together.
Absolutely. Thank you and Jersey City together for even making Bayfront a possibility. Some of you in this room probably were there 8 years ago. I was in the NJCU Margaret Williams Theater when Jersey City Together organized an action with then the 2 candidates for mayor and asked for that firm commitment to make Bayfront 35% affordable. Members of the city council were there. Then a year later, we bought the land. And the challenge that I have found is the urgency. We bought the land, but the ground was just breaking on the first project 8 years later. And when you talk to anybody in Jersey City, the number one thing here is, I love this city, but I'm afraid I can't afford to stay in the city that I love. And so each delay, 6 months, a year, 18 months, is a delay where we're going to lose an incredible member of our community. So I feel that urgency deeply. I feel it from having had thousands of conversations as we've gone to every part of the city. I feel it deeply for having been there, for having voted on the council, for my colleagues purchased the land, and agree that, you know, people will say, well, you can just solve your budget gap by selling that land. But your point is 100% heard, and it's deep and it's personal, that it's sacred land. That land cannot be sacrificed for the short term, right? You mentioned the things of, cancer diagnosis in the city. I'm a cancer survivor. I feel that deeply, that we must turn that land into something that provides good for everyone, not for a small set. And if it wasn't for your actions as Jersey City Together, that would have been developed as luxury-only housing. It was only Jersey City Together that came in and forced the community to make it affordable. You've highlighted this cap, right? We can't wait another 6 months or another year for this cap to change. Construction is expensive everywhere. There's affordable homes, but there's not affordable construction. And we need to build those 8,000 units of housing, or 3,000 affordable, we need it yesterday. So I am committed to asking the governor to waive the cap. I have already, waive the cap. I've already met with the governor, and in that meeting, I told the governor that I want to talk about two things. I want to talk to you about our $250 million budget gap that the other guy left us, and I want to talk about Bayfront. Those are the two things, because those are the two most important projects, and our governor ran on affordability. She ran on making our state affordable. There is no better project in the entire state, not just in Jersey City. There is no better project in the entire state to demonstrate that commitment to have a state and city and civic and religious partnership to deliver affordable housing for every resident of the city.
As we transition to close our time together, I want you to remember this evening. Remember that we've got to get that cap waived. Remember that we now have to make sure the governor keeps her word. And we stand together to ensure that she helps us to build right now and not tomorrow. Thank you.
We're ready for next steps. And we're going to ask President Menzi to come, and he's going to tell us what we need to do next. Hopefully you've been filling out those commitment forms. Here it comes, okay? And then after he gives us our marching orders, he will close us out with prayer.
Thank you, Reverend. Good evening, friends. My name is Menzi. I'm the pastor at St. Matthew's Lutheran Church. Yes, I am a Lutheran minister, but tonight as I was listening to the Spirit and it was blowing that thing, I began to wonder what was the assignment given to me. And I thought to myself, they said 2 things or 3 things, but I heard them say, don't preach. So I will not preach, I will not preach, I will not preach. Instead, I will share an old story with you. This is a story from one of the books. It's from Micah, the 6th chapter. It goes like this. When a whole city had ignored its people, when affordable housing had just been put on the back burner, when schools were scrambling for funds, the Lord called them to a public meeting. Called them to a public meeting just like this one. And he asked the question, "Oh my people, what have I done to you? In what have I wearied you? Answer me," the Lord demanded. Because you see, when we do all these things ignoring the needs of the people in the city, We do not just do it to the people of the city, but we do it unto the Lord. Let me simplify it to you. When we ignore those who are in need, we do not just do it to the people, but we do it to the very life force that we all depend on. We do it unto the very fabric of the city that we all love. But I'm not preaching today. So in that public meeting, the people had to answer, and they said, in a way that almost feels sarcastic, they said, with what shall I bow before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? They asked. They continued, shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with 1,000 rams? Imagine 1,000 rams, as if they could offer 1,000. They continued with 10,000s of rivers of oil, sarcastic almost. But then it became morning time, and the spokesperson to God, the prophet Micah, responded on behalf of God, saying, He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, and to love kindness,
Thank you.
and to walk humbly with God.
Amen.
So what does the Lord require us? Or what does life in the city, good life for all of us require? It requires that we wave that hat. It requires that we fund our schools. Just like that, they said to me also, don't preach but do call the altar call. So now it is time for the altar call. God loves a repentant sinner. People of the city, you have heard everything that has been said today. It has been a meeting, a good meeting. We've done a wonderful, powerful thing today. We have done what organizers call a public business done in public. Public business done in public. So thank you all for being here to do this work. We have held our mayor accountable. Mayor, do you feel held? We thought this was just about the mayor and the public officials alone. This is work that is about all of us. And so, yes, and the people said amen. And so, if this is all about us, now it is our turn to be held accountable. You likely will have one of these, which is an individual commitment form. I want you to pull it out and lift it up high. And if you do not have one of these, I will ask the ushers to stand ready to give those. Because it is time to fill those up with our own commitments.
Oh, we pass them that way.
Please fill them up
Pass them that
and
way.
take your time on that. I'll give you a minute or so just to write down your name, your institution, if you have one, your phone number, your email. And you can commit whether you're interested in education, affordable housing, public safety, and if you're not sure, just tick any of those and you will be directed anyways. And the ushers will be taking those as you fill them, so please.